knitting. My name is Helene and I'm the knitwear designer behind Fabel Knitwear. I have already talked you through all my collections, or all my, as of now, published collections. So I figured today I'm just gonna show you some of the knits that I love that are not of my own design. I, as we've already established, have spent quite a few years knitting, mostly gifts, because I wanted the more feminine cut and silhouette of more vintage styles, but I'm not a big fan of actual vintage knitting patterns. So that's what led to all this designing. We've covered this already. So I'm just going to show you some of the tidbits that I have here. Obviously I've knit loads more. I don't have everything because most of it was gift knits, but some of the stuff that I still have. Also, last weekend I went on a weekend workshop for spinning, not cycling, spinning. That would probably be the worst way I could possibly think of to spend my weekend. And I say this because someone thought that's what I was doing, and I posted spinning workshop in my stories on Instagram, and I'm flattered, I guess, that you think I look sporty enough to go on a spinning workshop. As in cycling, no. I would rather go camping with Shawl on. Like, I don't camp unless it's for a festival. I would rather do that than go bicycle spinning workouting all weekend. So that's established, but thank you for thinking I look sporty enough to pull that off. No, spinning yarn from wool. Now, I think a lot of creative people who feel accomplished in something, any craft, have a tendency, I can't speak for everyone, I have a tendency to look at something and go, I can do that. How difficult can it be? It was really, really difficult, you guys. Super difficult. Obviously, I knew it was technically advanced, and I've always had immense respect for people who do different crafts than me, but because as a child I picked up these skills quicker than some of the other kids, I think I just expect myself to be able to do it really quickly. It doesn't take away from people that are super established in it. I'm not saying it's easy. I think I just have this very humble opinion of myself that I'll be able to do it. It was very difficult. And I say this in jest because I'm old enough now to not really have that outlook on life. Hard work is what it takes, and some people have a bit more of a penchant for it than others. But it was really fun. First day, I think we were 6 or 7 of us, and we sat down at a spinning wheel, the one with the pedals and everything, and taught us how to start spinning. And my goodness, it was so difficult. Super, super difficult. And then we spun, and then we spun 2 thingies, and then we twine them together. I don't know any of this terminology in English. I only learned it in Norwegian a couple of days ago. So thingamajig is go-to word when terminology is wanting. So we spun two thingamajigs and then we twisted them or twined them together, and then we got yarn. And then we did this again, and it was slightly better, it got easier. And then for the second one, we changed spinning wheels, and the second one was so much easier. So much easier. It was definitely more for me. I don't know if it was my height or the weight of it, no idea. It was, for the first wheel, it was not that fun, but then for the second one, it started getting fun. And this is the first one that I spun. These black threads are just tying it all together, ignore them. And it's a shame that all phones are wireless, because if we still had wired phones, I think I could make a pretty decent living making telephone wire. No? This happens apparently when there's too much snore, too much twists on the yarn before you send it through. And that was the most difficult thing I found, pulling the wool apart evenly enough without getting too much twist. Just practice. So some of it's super twisty, some of it's really thin, some of it's pretty much just wool. So yeah, this was the first one that I did. And then the second one, we used two colours, and that was great fun. What's this? This is better. It's still far from decent, but it still kind of maybe resembles yarn if you squint. So I think it's better. Some of these look relatively decent. And then some are a bit more woolly. But on this one, I don't think I had any major telephone wire sequences, or if I did, I figured out how to undo it to a certain extent. There might be some in there, but I can't see any now. So this was a lot more fun than this, and it might have something to do with the wheel. And then we also tried a håndtegn, English terminology, spindle, hand spindle. Anyway, this thingy that you twirl and then, yeah. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, I don't think it would help if I knew the terminology anyway. That was really fun. We only did it for about half an hour because someone really wanted to. That was really fun. That was a lot easier, I thought. Easier, took a lot longer, but it was easier to get the yarn even. Very, very fun. And then for the second day, it was back to the wheel. And on the second day, it went from being very challenging to being like 95% very fun. It was, the difference was remarkable. I don't think there's a lot of difference in the results, but the difference in just the experience. This was so we spun one thingy we finished what we were doing the first day, and then we got to, I think maybe it's card in English, cardigan in Norwegian. So you get this fluffy pillows of wool, and then you sort of hank it through like a combing machine. And then we got to do that with loads of different coloured yarn, and there was glitter, and I think that bit was the most fun. That was So fun! Felt like painting. And then we spun it, and I thought spinning the yarn that I'd carded was so much easier, just with the whole like pulling the fibres apart bit. Just went so much more smoothly than the other yarn, which I'm not really sure what that was. The other preparation that's not carding, come gone. But this was the result of day 2. Again, ignore the black thread. So we used to tie them. This is a lot nicer than the first one. I mean, it's a crazy effect yarn, but I'd say it's a lot more even. A lot more even. There are still some more woolly segments. There might be some telephone wire segments. I can't tell now. Chances of me doing anything with these skeins are very minimal. I have no idea what I would use these 3 effect yarn newbie skeins on. If there are any good suggestions of what I could do, I'd love to hear it. I'm not really too keen on making something just because I've made these. I'd rather just keep them as a novelty rather than make something super ugly. But it was really, really brilliant fun. I took the course at Spinnvilt in Oslo, and the lecturers or the workshop managers were very talented and super friendly. It was a gift from my parents, so thank you, Mum and Papa. It was a very, very, very fun gift. I really enjoyed it. I would love to do it again. And I would recommend it to anyone who is curious, because even though I'm not gonna buy a wheel because they're ridiculously expensive, and I already have 2020 things to do, but I love the fact that I now know if the apocalypse was to come, I would be a valuable member of the surviving society, because I could make clothing from wool to finished garments. Think about that. There's not going to be an apocalypse. I don't believe in that. But it's a fair point. Ta-da! So let me just point out that we have a new sofa. So let's begin. This is one of the first big knits that I did, to be honest. It is it's from an original vintage pattern from 1941. It's in this book, Vintage Strikk. I knit 2 of these, actually. So I must have found it alright to do. Oh, come on. Bloody hell. Where art thou? It's this one. The thing with vintage patterns, I touched on this way back when. They're written in a specific way because the knitters were already super talented. So the designer didn't have to put every little teaspoon of information in, because knitters were talented, basically. They were very skilled they didn't need to be spoon-fed every tidbit. So this pattern has one size. It has, I'm not sure, don't think it has a recommended yarn, maybe it does. It doesn't have gauge. It doesn't really have any of those things that we're used to today, and that's one of the reasons I'm not a big fan of original vintage patterns. They are usually written in ways that are very outdated. It doesn't mean that the designers were not talented, because they were immensely talented. Just look at the construction of some of those patterns and you will know that I say this with all due respect. They were super talented, but if those patterns were to be rewritten today, you could get the same result, but a process that I would personally find more enjoyable. That's my only qualm with vintage patterns. I don't think they're ugly, I think they're beautiful. I don't think they're poorly written, but I do think they are written difficultly, basically. But I managed it. It's knit in pieces, as they always are. The sleeves are sewn in, as they pretty much always are. I don't like sewing in sleeves in knitwear, which is weird because I sew and I don't mind it then. Not a big fan with knitwear. Anyway, this is it. It has a very lovely textured lace pattern running all the way. Maybe you can see it better if I put my hand in there. And it's already repeatable, so you just knit it all the way around. It was, I guess, I just went, it's a medium, I'm sure it'll fit me, like plus minus. So I lucked out in that sense. It's like I could just knit exactly as instructed. I didn't have to do anything with the size, and it worked. I'm a good vintage size medium. And it has seed stitch at the top of the shoulders. It buttons at the front, and it has little ties that you tie at the front, and a collar. The collar is not very well done. I could have done that better, right? Or I would be able to do it better now. And the shoulders are a bit bulky, because it did end up slightly too wide in the shoulder department. But anyway, I also knit this in a pink, but the pink was wrong. It was too cold, too greyish, so I don't have it anymore. But yes, I wear this quite a bit. I can't remember what yarn it is. I must have knit this in 2016 maybe. But the yarn is so toasty. So this, I wear this on really, really cold days. It's so toasty. Another design that I knit from this book, it's called Vintage Strikk, strikkeoppskrifter for smarte klær til alle og enhver, 1935 til 1955. So it's the patterns, it's a collection of Norwegian knitting patterns from 1935 to 1955. It's beautifully curated. I knit a cardigan for Matthias. This one. Can you see it? And it has sort of a diagonal zigzag pattern that runs up the front. And this also only comes in one size, size large. And large, it's too big for it in knitwear. These are medium for knitwear. But I did knit it in a large and just went, we'll see. This was before and they were already done on 3mm needles, so I couldn't really go down a needle size. So it's like too big on him. Not that much. He still wears it. I just think he looks like he's drowning in it. And I did try sewing. But anyway, this is it. It is a very beautiful cardigan, even if it is relatively oversized. Here you can see the diagonal pattern. It's knit in a really lovely grey and black. This is pure wool by Pickles. It has a V-neck and the sleeves are sewn in. It's knit back and forth, menswear, back and forth. It took a century, but I do think it's very beautiful. I wish they had it in a smaller size. And he picked out these buttons himself. They are metallic. They are metal, so they look quite old Viking-y. He's picked out the buttons for all his cardigans, to be honest. I've infected him with my enthusiasm for buttons. So when we go to, because he's from Bergen, when we visit his family and go to Knapperbua, which I've already raved about, he always picks out some buttons for himself, just in case I knit him something. So this is also from that book. There are some beautiful patterns in that book. I'm just not that big on vintage patterns. What can you do? So those are two things that I have knit that are not my own designs. I also have a shawl. This is the first shawl, first and only shawl I have ever knit. And I think it's called just simple shawl. I'll put it in, I can't remember. And I knit this for my bunad. I have a nordmørsbunad, which is, the bunad it varies depending on what region you're from. And it's the traditional Norwegian folk costume, and we wear it on the 17th of May for christenings, confirmations. Some people wear it for Christmas, some wear it for the weddings. I only really wear it for the 17th of May, which is a shame because it's beautiful. Anyway, I have the nordmørsbunad, which is it has a beautiful dark green brocade vest, and the skirt is a deep blue wool, and it has a white linen shirt. And wearing a bunad in May can be either, it's May, the weather in Norway, yeah, who knows? Last 17th we had beautiful weather. I think it was like 23, 24 degrees. And that for me is perfect bunad weather. Colder, you need a shawl or a cape. Warmer, you're gonna drown, you're gonna melt away because it is wool. And the year before was slightly chillier, and I remember thinking I wish I'd had a shawl because it comes with a cape, but it's a wool cape and it's super massive, so I can't really put it in a bag if it gets too warm. I have to wear it or carry it, and this is literally what it looks like carrying it because it's massive. So it's a commitment. So unless the weather forecast is horrible, I don't wear the cape. So I figured a shawl would be good, easy to tuck into a bag, whip it in, whip it out, put it back in. And I wanted it green because my bunad, the vest, is green. This is it. Very simple. It has a lace hole pattern running up the center and a contrasting color, a lace hem at the bottom. I've never worn it because, as I said, last 17th of May, the weather was glorious. I didn't even bring it with me. We'll see today, we'll see this year. I do of course hope that the weather will be glorious this year as well. But I should at least, I didn't even take pictures with it, which I should have done. I took pictures with it with something else, but I didn't take any pictures with my bunad, which I totally should have. Now, I don't really wear shawls. I'm more of a scarf person, although it's knit in Pickles pure wool as well. It is very It's my go-to yarn if I just want something woolly. It's very nice to knit with. But heels. I was a bit scared of knitting shawls because I'd never done it and I just didn't understand how you get that shape. And sometimes if you overcomplicate something in your head, it's quite, you just put it off even though it's super easy, and that was me with shawls. And it's still me with socks. I would love to knit socks. I never have. I just think it looks super difficult. Which I'm sure once it's done, I'm gonna smack myself on the hand because it's probably super simple. If you have any good sock pattern recommendations, do share please. Top, toe up, top down, who cares? I have no idea, but I would really like to knit some socks. So that was my shawl. I also have my La Bonita top. I have two La Bonita tops. This is a pattern by Pickles. They published it last spring or summer, and as soon as they published it, I went bananas and had to have it. It's so lovely. I am obsessed with this pattern. It's so pretty. Super feminine, super playful. It has an elastic at the shoulder, so you can wear it on the shoulder or off the shoulder. And then it has this gorgeous large ruffle, and it's cropped. You could obviously knit it longer, I always say this. I think I knit it slightly shorter than the pattern. Oh, it's so much fun. It's knit in Pickles merino tweed colour mellow, which is speckled in blues and like blackish and brighter reds. I cannot wait for the weather to brighten up, the sun to come out, for it to get warm enough to wear this. It's a super simple knit. I have to say, knitting the ruffle felt like an eternity, but I don't mind because the result, and once you've done it, it's super quick. I also knit another one in black. I don't really wear a lot of black, but I figured it's a good, just basic thing to have, and I could wear it if I was dressing up a bit. Do that with red as well, but it's good to have. It's good to not always wear burgundy. This is the black one. It's just the same really. The hem of the ruffle is cast off as an I-cord, which also takes an eternity, but it's nice. It's pretty, but like a seed stitch edge is also pretty. I'll do what's quicker. So this is the black one. This is knit in pure wool. So this is a lot warmer, which I didn't really think about when I knit it last summer. It was slightly too warm to wear a lot, whereas the merino tweed, we've already established, it's very breathable and airy. So I have two of those. I don't have a lot of like set in stone knitting plans for other designers because I'm always so busy with what I am designing. I am planning a white one. I need a white La Bonita top in my life for this summer. I also feel that it needs to be a dress. I need a white La Bonita dress. I think that needs to happen this summer because I think it would be a perfect summer dress. I'm super excited. I was thinking about this last summer as well. I think I established that I have two is good for one summer, and then I can expand my La Bonita collection as I go. Oh, it's such a nice pattern. Some other patterns I would really like to knit that are not my own. I love the Scotty sweater. I think it's so elegant. I really want to knit that. I would also really like, Pickles have a pattern that's not been published yet, but I can't wait until they do. I think they're calling it the Bonjour blouse. It's a striped heavenly thing, and I'm waiting anxiously for it to be published. It's very Parisian, oui oui, oui oui. And there are more. I was thinking about this the other day. I should write a list for when I have time. Anyway, another one. There's a designer called Nadia Lewis. She's a Canadian designer. I follow on Instagram. It's working on a really beautiful sort of Bavarian style top with really beautiful puff shoulders and a square neckline and buttons and a lovely like leafy pattern running up the front. It's super 1940s Bavarian, so like Drindle style, so romantic. I can't, it's so much fun to see her design process, and that needs to happen at some point for me when she publishes it. So many nice designs out there. In regards to these designs that I mention on this podcast, you can join the Fabel Knitwear Knit Along Fabels of Knitting 2019 Cal, as it is called, on Instagram and on Ravelry, which is a year-long knit along where you can join using any of my patterns and any patterns that I mention in this podcast. All you have to do is cast on and finish in 2019, and obviously the more things you finish, the more entries you have, and there will be prizes. I have started collecting prizes. I'm gonna do a bit of a show and tell when I have a bigger haul to show for. Do join. You can also join on Instagram if you use the hashtag Fabels of Knitting 2019 Cal. Ooh, mouthful. Do remember to join. There's a list in the Ravelry thread with all the patterns all of my patterns and all the patterns that I have mentioned thus far. The list will grow as I talk about more patterns. So for this, from this episode, we have the 1941 jumper, we have the La Bonita top, we have the cardigan that I knit for my boyfriend. I'm going to figure out what it's called. We have the shawl that I knit. I'm going to figure out what it's called. I mentioned the Scotty sweater. I mentioned the Bonjour, whatever. If they ever publish it, please do. And Nadia's Bavarian top when that comes. So just remember to join. Yes, remember to join. Join me. What's wrong with me? I forgot to mention this last time, but I also joined the Solidarity Swap on Ravelry. The Solidarity Swap is it's a fibre swap with the intention of shedding some light on and giving credit where credit is due to BIPOC designers and makers, dyers, because as we've established, it's a lot. You know, it's easier if you're white, basically. People are arguing it. I'm not arguing that. I'm well aware of it. And so, if you're coloured and you're a designer or a dyer or a maker of any sort, you have to work so much harder to get your project seen. And this became very apparent with for me, the revelation of how white my feed was. And like, granted, some of it, I live in Norway, it's the percentage of like white native population towards immigrant population is different from, say, the States, but still, I don't only follow Norwegian Instagrammers. It's a very international. Instagram is probably the most, well, it's international, let's just leave it there. So the fact that my feed was so white was, I'm not going to say shocking, because let's face it, it wasn't, but it was discomforting and slightly disturbing. Why was my feed so white? Why was I not? Because the way I work with Instagram is I'll click on something and I'll get a suggestion, or someone will mention something and I'll click on it and I'll follow. And so the things that were being shown me were predominantly white. And so through this long overdue movement, I've discovered people that I hope if I had been exposed to earlier, I would have followed them. But now I have the opportunity to have discovered some incredible people on Instagram who are not white. And it's just, so I think that's just a good analogy for, if you are not white, you do have to work harder, because your stuff isn't, your work isn't being shown as readily as my work would be, which is ridiculous. And it's not an even playing field. And as a white person, sure, that benefits me, but I don't. Oh, damn you. Oh, I just had a mini heart attack. Yes. Anyway, I'd rather play on an even playing field, all I'm saying. So the solidarity swap, its intention was to give some credit where credit has been due for a long time, because these makers and designers are immensely talented, and I cannot believe I've not been exposed to them before. Simple as that. But now I have, and so I've been partnered up with a knitter in Singapore, and we are sending each other a parcel. So you could sign up for the parcel swap or a pattern swap, and I did the parcel one. And so and there's a set price limit that you need to stay within, just to make it a bit more inclusive for everyone, regardless of budget. So, and I bought some, and I'm gonna pick some more things this week, and I'm gonna send it early next week. I'm not gonna show you what I have thus far, just in case Steffi is watching, who knows. But I'll take a picture before I send it, and then I will of course show you what I get, like when my parcel arrives. Oh, super exciting. So anyway, I joined the solidarity swap. It's all closed off now, so there's no, there are no new sign-ups as I know. Maybe they'll do them again, I don't know. But if you would like to be exposed to some more makers and dyers and designers who have a different background than you, have a look at the Ravelry group for the solidarity swap, and there's a thread with a list of all makers and designers and dyers recommendations. So exciting. I can't wait to see what I get, and I can't wait to send it in the hope that she will like it. We'll see. So that's just a tiny selection of the knits that I have that are not of my design, that I kept. I have knit more than this. Hey! So I didn't realise that my camera had died. What? Until I was editing, which I was doing in my shop. So I didn't get to say goodbye. It's now evening. I'm gonna have some dinner, fredagstaco, and then I'm gonna go out for a beer. And I just wanted to say goodbye. Have a lovely weekend, and I will see you later.